Hi friend, my name is Amit and today we are going to react on a very interesting video that is history of Indonesia in 12 minutes. So without wasting much of the time, let's get started. Video is provided by Knowledgia, so I'll provide you link in the description. You can go and check more about it. So let's start it.
Today, Indonesia is probably most commonly known around the world for one place, Bali.
Yeah, Bali is quite
An
famous.
exotic and romantic vacation spot, so many people view Bali as the representation of Indonesia as a whole. But what about the rest of the nation? How
Big.
did that one island and the rest that make up the entirety of
big.
Indonesia come to be what they are now? Where did the history of Indonesia begin?
Yeah, everybody should know about the history.
Like its neighbor of Malaysia, Indonesia can trace its first signs of modern human life all the way back to about 40,000 years ago. Although there is also archaeological evidence suggesting that 40,000 years may be an underestimate, and other ancestors of today's humans may have been present in the region as long as 1.9 million years ago.
1.9 million.
Either way, the earliest reliable evidence of a sophisticated civilization in current-day Indonesia dates back to only about 400 BC. With the discoveries of Indian trade goods in the region,
Yeah, India and
inscriptions found in
Indonesia are
West Java and
connected,
Eastern
so there is a
Kalimantan.
good
It
trade.
is also believed that trade with China would have been concurrent with the trade between
the
the
sea route
Indonesian
is there.
archipelago and India. Commerce with these particular foreign nations would have also brought the religions of Buddhism and Hinduism to the islands, beginning or contributing
Hinduism
to the outside influence
and
on the
Buddhism basically from
Jumping
India
ahead to the 7th
migrated to
century,
this.
The powerful trade-oriented Sri Vijaya,
Empire,
originating
okay.
from the island of Sumatra, flourished from the Malay Peninsula down to Java.
Java
Despite
Island.
their remarkable success over multiple centuries, the Buddhist empire of Sri Vijaya faced its decline after the Chola Empire from India seized their Sumatran territory of Palembang. And
India and
apprehended their king
Indonesia
in
are like
1025.
just connected
From that point on,
from a
the
sea
Sri
route,
Vijaya
and that's why
Empire
they are
essentially collapsed,
inheriting the same
making room
heredity.
for the Hindu kingdom of the Majapahit Empire. Founded in 1292, the Majapahit Empire rose to dominate the modern-day Indonesian region throughout the 13th and 14th centuries, prospering through trade as the Sri Vijaya Empire had done before them. Still, just as their predecessors, the Majapahit Empire hit a wall and began a rapid downfall. Theirs came after the death of one of their leaders, Gajah Mada, in 1364, and the following death of the king Hayam Wuruk in 1389. Leading up to this time, the Islamic faith found its way to the archipelago and began to really take hold over the ensuing centuries.
Okay, so
Many
Islam
different
started
lesser-known
growing.
sultanates found success throughout the islands as a result, some even outlasting the dominion of the Majapahit Empire. As these kingdoms continued to grow trade in and out of the region, European powers became attracted to the spice market.
Yeah,
that it
India
offered.
and
The first of such
Indonesia
nations
have
to
very
arrive
good
in
spice
modern-day
market.
Indonesia were the Portuguese and the Spanish in the 16th century. While Spain did attempt to exert some dominance in the Maluku Islands, also known as the Spice Islands, their authority in any part of the Indonesian archipelago was short-lived, due to contesting efforts of Portugal and later the Dutch and British. The Portuguese were initially triumphant in the Malay Peninsula, capturing Malacca in 1511. From there, they aimed their sights towards the Spice Islands, beginning their bid to take control of the spice trade in 1512.
Spice trade
While they had
is
some levels of success,
most
they
popular
were
that
fairly
time, and
quickly
it is one
pushed
of the
out through
more
the arrival
power
of the Dutch
symbol.
by the
So if you
17th
have
century.
trade route, you
In
have
terms of the
everything,
colonial
and
powers,
you will
the
the
Dutch
powerful.
were surely the most prominent intruder into the Indonesian islands.
Okay.
The first Dutch expedition set off for the archipelago in 1595,
1595
under the
Dutch
command
came.
of Cornelius de Houtman, and dropped anchor at the shore of West Java. Around this time, the Dutch East India Company was formed in order to control trade between the Dutch Republic and the nations
This
throughout the
Dutch
Indian Ocean.
will
The
be
Dutch East India Company
means
was
working
given a
in
significant
Goa
amount
is
of
still
autonomy
few years.
by
So
the Dutch
India
government, allowing
last
them
3
to
months
dominate
Goa
trade
after
throughout the
winning
East
the war
Indies
against
and
Dutch.
keep their competitors, notably the British and Portuguese, at bay. While the original focus of the company was to maintain commercial authority and prosperity, they began to shift their attention as they took control of Java and its neighbors.
Correct.
During the 17th century, the Dutch East India Company made a gradual transition from a leading sea and trading power to more of a colonial-type establishment, after centering themselves in the fortified port of Jakarta, Batavia, or modern-day
This is
Jakarta.
map, I think they
Working
are
to gain
so-
more jurisdiction throughout the Indonesian islands, the Dutch East India Company was also able to capture Malacca from the adjacent Malay Peninsula in 1641. When the 18th century came around, though, the company began to struggle with corruption, conflict, and a slow collapse into bankruptcy,
Okay.
which resulted in the Dutch government revoking their charter
Corruption.
and seizing all of their possessions in 1799. In 1800, the Dutch East Indies was founded, made up of what would later become Indonesia, but for
Dutch
the time being
East Indies
served as
later
the new
become
Dutch
Indonesia.
colonial administration in the archipelago. This establishment grew over the 19th and part of the 20th century, although some ups and downs such as the Javanese War from 1825 to 1830, ending in a Dutch victory, did exist. Also, in 1825, the Dutch captured Palembang, the former territory of the Sriwijaya Empire. During this period,
Yeah.
the Dutch also
So,
settled disputes and
Indian
clashes with
Empire,
Akka,
so
Lombok, and
Hinduism
Sulawesi,
or Buddhism
and
is
continued to expand their
going
dominion.
to decrease, and
In the
Dutch and
course of the Dutch
Portuguese
colonization,
and Islam
the
is
people of the
increasing slowly.
Indonesian islands were treated vastly unfairly. As Dutch priorities shifted more towards agriculture, the local farmers were mandated to set aside 20% of their own property in order to grow crops for the Dutch to
Oh,
export.
this is just like
such as
India.
pepper, sugar,
They are
cinnamon,
asking
tea,
for
and
money
coffee,
even if you want
and
to do
indigo.
farming in your own
By the
country.
1870s,
So this is whole
the
East
colony
India
moved
Company
to a free
things.
market system and began to form
Colonialization
private
become
plantations.
there.
Although the local people were still not truly treated justly.
Same like Indian
Finally,
condition.
at the very start of the 20th
the
century,
British
the Dutch
and Dutch
installed a
are
new system in order to promote the
capturing
welfare of the
everything.
archipelago's locals, known simply as the ethical policy. This new program brought about changes such as the construction of new schools in the region, government reforms that allowed more autonomy for the local
Yeah.
officials, and the opportunity for some of the indigenous people to become more educated and learn
Yeah,
more
means
about the Western world.
someday at least somehow truth will
Even
win.
with these improvements, though, not every local was impacted. And therefore, many people on the island still felt oppressed by the colonial authority.
Yes.
Over time, these feelings of resentment culminated in nationalist movements and a push for ultimate
Yeah,
independence.
people are started gathering and they will
Unfortunately, for the
revolt,
people of the
so
archipelago,
they will get
the fight for
independence.
freedom was swiftly interrupted by the intrusion of the Japanese during World War
Okay.
II. At first, the locals were not completely displeased by what they saw as a
They
liberation
were
from their
trying
Dutch
to
oppressors.
get independent, but suddenly
When
Japan
the
came
Japanese
and
occupation of the
captured
region
everything.
began, they were quick to win favor from the Indonesian people,
Okay.
doing so through their use of natives for administrative positions, unlike the Dutch and their willingness to support Indonesian nationalists. The successful strategy was only temporary, though, as the Japanese opted to use the Indonesian islands in whatever form best suited them during the war, which drew some disapproval from a number of locals. Still, the relationship between the Japanese and natives was not horrible, and as the Axis power began to face defeat in the World War, they threw their support even further behind the Indonesian independence movement. During the latter half of 1944, the
1944
Japanese
came
declared their
and
goal
they
of
got their
creating a
independence in
self-governed East Indies, which was
1947.
later confirmed in August of 1945,
45, 47
when
is India.
Terauchi Hisaichi, commander of Japan's southern
Sukarno, the
expeditionary
father of
army group,
Indonesia, I
summoned
think.
Muhammad Hatta and Sukarno, two Indonesian independence movement leaders,
Okay.
and informed them that Japan intended to make an immediate transfer of independence.
Finally,
The
the
two
day came.
nationalist men announced Indonesia's independence, declaring it an independent
Yeah.
republic. Once word was out of the Japanese surrender to the Allied forces on August 17th,
August 17th,
the proclamation of an
1945,
independent
Indonesia
republic was
became
not
an
quite so
independent
simple,
country
though,
and
sparked
came
a
out
series
from
of
the
clashes
Japan.
between the Indonesians and the colonizing forces of both the British and Dutch. The British were less compelled to fight back, eventually withdrawing as the Dutch stepped in to try and retake their former possession. After repeated failures, unsuccessful police actions, and growing condemnation from the far west, such as the US, at long last, in the final weeks of 1949, the Dutch recognized Indonesia. The following years marked a time of political and constitutional development, accompanied by agricultural and economic ups and downs as well. Beginning first as a parliamentary democracy, subsequently following what then President Sukarno called a guided democracy, started in February
Parliament
of
democracy to
1957.
guided
The republic
democracy
then
from
fell into the
Sukarno.
hands of a dictator,
Okay.
former General Suharto, in 1966.
Sukarno was the first
before finally
president
returning to a
of
democracy
independent
as of
Indonesia.
1999.
Then Suharto is
Today,
there,
Indonesia is still growing and developing as an independent
Yeah.
nation.
and it's
And
growing
an
very
overall
fast.
population of roughly
And
270
a huge population, fourth
million people in
populous country in
2020.
the world.
The Republic of Indonesia is now led by their seventh President Joko Widodo of the PDIP, or Indonesian Democratic Party of Struggle.
PDPIP. Okay. So this is the end of this video basically, and I got to know a lot of things. Previously I was knowing like Sukarno was some great leaders of Indonesia, but how he became a leader and what is the whole process, how you just see that from starting how India and Indonesia are connected, and then Indians and Indonesian and China as well have a fair trade between them. Slowly and slowly the Dutch came and they started capturing small pieces of the parts. Similarly, like India, they came, they created one East India Company, and slowly they captured everything, and then they make the people of that their own country to pay the money to do farming. Same scenario is always taken. Then they will make their colonies, and they are working like that. But somehow someday that truth will come apart, and the people who are depressed, who are under pressure, will revolt against it, because everyone is a rebel if there is a need. So then they started opposing, and there is a unity came between the people, and they are trying to get independent. Then but somehow Japanese came in between. They captured Indonesia again, but that time people have a better relation as compared to the Dutch, to the Japanese people. And slowly after few years, finally on 1945 17th August, Indonesia got its independence. So that's great. And somehow after that, you should also know that India also got its independence in 1947 in 15th August. So 2 years nearby difference is there, and India is also captured by Dutch initially, then the East India Company of UK. So I think these both are sharing the same thing, and now Indonesia is developing very fast. It is one of the fastest developing economy of world. It is the fourth largest by population. Jakarta has a 1 trillion of GDP. I started just learning about Indonesia, so let me know like what I can learn more, which video I can react on, so I can learn as well and share my views with you people. So that's it from my end, and it's a really great video. So we'll be reacting more of this video like this in future. So please also let me know if you want to check any of more videos. Till then, bye bye, take care.